Okay, I'm gonna try this one again. I know I usually do it live without editing, but I did one already and it went 17 minutes long. So I'll try to make it shorter. Chemtrails. I didn't watch Tucker Carlson's show. I don't usually watch Tucker Carlson's show, but I just heard about he did a show on chemtrails. It's fucking bullshit. Again, I put a warning. I can't deal with this bullshit any beyond without getting my BS meter exploding. This is water vapor. This is cold air. This is cold air out in front of the plane. This is the plane engines, and the plane engines are hot. And the cold air with moisture heats up and makes steam. You know that event that happens when you're in your nice warm house and then you step out into the damp cold air and you exhale? Chemtrails? No. Water vapor. It's, see your breath. It's cold. It's the warm air and the moisture coming from within you into the air, condensing and making this little cloud. Can't it, our little mouse don't generate steam. We're not Godzilla. These do. That, as in, generate a lot of heat and they're going through the air and they're way high and it's very cold. Also, you see in the picture, it looks like they're all lined up. And look at these straight lines coming off the back. No, they're not all lined up in a row. They're staggered in a formation for a couple of reasons called MB-109s. And so that they're in gun position so they can cover themselves. It's supposed to be like a battleship in the air with all of them combined. They had flight formations. But if you're sitting down here in Germany and you're looking up and you see a whole line of these things coming your way, it looks like a flat line. But, again, one-dimensional. You're looking up at a group of them and it looks like they're making a trail, but in reality, it's staggered, and they're making all kinds of trails. And they're staggered and making all kinds of trails, but from your perspective, it's it looks like a grid. They're not making a grid intentionally. It's just how they're flying. Commercial airlines. You're looking at a horizon. You're looking across in a single plane. Unintended, I guess, a physical plane, a one-dimensional, two-dimensional plane. They're flying this way, that way, this way. They're at different elevations. They sure as hell better be separated by at least 1,000 feet. Unless they're military, then it's 5,000. Then it's 500 feet. But commercial, 1,000 feet between them, minimum, or maximum. They can't be closer than 1,000 feet to each other. And if they're at a certain altitude, that it's an even number, they're flying, even they're flying east and out they're flying west. But anyhow, that's how they stagger, so you don't have two planes at 37,000 feet heading in two different directions. One will be at 37,000 feet and the other one will be at 38,000 feet. Or in that pocket, so 1,000 feet between them here, a big gap you do not go into, and they'll be somewhere within, the 1,000 feet they're given. So they're flying in two different directions, different altitudes, but when you look up at them, it looks like they're on the same plane. That pun's gonna get it. It's not an intentional pun, but they're on the same level, but separated. But they look. Anyhow. It's bullshit. It's fucking crap. Airlines are not doing this. Airlines weigh the plane, the fuel, the amount of cargo, the amount of people, wind, weather, distance. All of it has to be calculated so they make sure they have enough fuel plus a reserve to get from the United States to Ireland. Visual thinking on maybe I want to go back. Anyhow, if the pilots and the second officer and the navigation officer did not know the weight of the plane, didn't notice that they're not getting the gas mileage they should, and they're 2/3 of the way over the Atlantic, and all of a sudden they're out of gas, they're bingo, they go into the water. People don't like that. People don't like doing that. You don't want to be halfway to Australia and then, you're on bingo fuel, which means zero, and then what you got left is like, Hail Mary. And then you start saying Hail Marys. No. So, in order for this to happen, pilots would have to know, airlines would have to know, ground crews would have to know, maintenance crews would have to know, and when the plane's refueling, you'd be seeing a truck out there refueling the jet, and there'd have to be a special vehicle out there refueling secret agent stuff that they eject out of the engines. Well, these are turboprops, but it's still, it's heat. Now, if this stuff is supposed to be injected out of an engine, out of a jet engine, whatever this special agent is, would have to be able to survive being blasted through a jet heat engine, so that it doesn't heat up too much that whatever the special agent is doesn't suddenly go, No. Plus, that would also reduce the efficiency of the engine. You don't want to be spraying shit in an engine that it's not designed for, which means if they're supposed to be, burning fuel and special agent, they'd have to completely redesign the engines to compensate for that. No. If they have special nozzles in the wings that the agent flies out of. A lot of airlines, commercial airlines, a lot of airlines have fuel. Fuel is stored in the wings, not all of it in the belly tank. The belly is often where the people and the cargo is. A lot of the fuel is up in here. Primary fuel and secondary and third in the wings. If they installed these little jets, they'd have to install all the piping. They'd have to install tanks to put it in. This is hundreds of pounds of extra special agent just so, George, Mr. Pilot, can reach up and hit that special red switch that they just installed that doesn't match up or show up in any instrumentation panels and displays and flight simulators, as in the actual ones pilots get into, not the ones guys sitting home, which is totally cool how to do that. Anyhow, this is coming along too. But anyhow, he has to flip this little switch to then start, spraying Ohio. Nope. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Cloud seeding, silver nitrate, and other stuff. Yeah, we do that to get rain, not to kill people. Unless you want to drown them. But it doesn't work, almost doesn't work that good. And even then, it is a plane specialized to do it. It's not a commercial airline with commercial tail numbers with transponders. Nope. Now, we did do some pretty heavy cloud seeding in Vietnam. Operation Popeye worked really well. It worked really well. The idea of it was to make so much rain that everything, all the jungles and the roads and everything turned to absolute mud that would keep the Vietnamese, the Vietnamese army, North Vietnamese army, Vietnamese regulars, the Viet Cong coming over from, and of course the large number of Chinese troops that were coming down and bringing materials into northern Vietnam. Well, when the roads got saturated and turned to mud, it stopped our guys who also got infected with it. All of a sudden, their trucks and jeeps and everything aren't moving, and everyone, all the GIs are going, fucking rain. The Vietnamese and the Chinese, Northlands, the bad guys at the time, just took the stuff off the vehicles and put it on their backs or put it on their poles and just kept on walking in the mud. Ho Chi Minh Trail. Bomb the fuck out of it from B-52s. Put holes in the road. Great. Jeeps and trucks can't go down the road. Like, things taken off the vehicles, put it on their backs and walk it in. Anyhow, I'm going along again. Operation Popeye really did work. And we learned from it. Don't cloud see the jungle. Anyhow, then this is pictures from World War II. Were we doing chemtrails in World War II? Were we spraying special agents out of our plane? Not special agents jumping out of planes, and even God, I ramble. More copy? Less copy. Were we, spraying, the Germans and the Italians and the Japanese? No. What we were doing, we were bombing the fuck out of them. That's what these guys had in them. Payloads of bombs they were dropping. That's dangerous. That's what they're doing. That was real. That's what people were afraid of. Not the chemtrail. The chemtrail. Fucking blown. FAA would have to be in on it. Remember when it happened? I don't know if you remember what happened, but you've heard when it happens, blue rain or blue ice. That's, when commercial airlines would drop their potty tanks and, the blue chem from the toilets would freeze and fall and land on someone's car or head. They still do that, but they're not supposed to do it over cities. And if they do, then there's a call to the FAA, and the FAA is going to be, you dumped your toilet over, Toledo. I can think of other cities that'd be better to dump, but anyhow. It's crap. It's fucking crap. Not real. No secret planes. They're not airlines specially built to look like commercial planes that they are flying in commercial lanes to spray people, to change the atmosphere for global warming or global cooling or climate change, which covers whichever way it goes, if it goes anywhere. Good cover. Transponders. You can get an app. It's called Flight Radar Pro 24 or Flight Radar 24. See a plane in the sky? Pull up your app. Okay. Here I am on my app, and here's the plane that matches up with that plane. Click on it. It will tell you the transponder number. It will tell you what the tail number is of the plane, the type of plane, the company that's flying it. United Airlines, Aer Lingus, Delta, American. I already said American Airlines. Southwest. Whatever. It'll tell you that. It'll tell you what airport it took off from and what airport it's going to come down at. Sometimes it'll show an actual picture of the actual plane right down to the right tail number. Sometimes they just kind of show you a generic picture of that type of plane and say, okay, well, that's flight, they don't even tell you the flight number. They don't even say that's flight, 273 to Boston. So, if they're being secret with all these jet shit, would they, have such information so available to the public? Okay, now granted, police and the military can turn their transponders off, and they do so for obvious reasons. Doing sneaky shit. Cool. A commercial airline turns its transponder off, there is trouble. Then you will see the military also. Not only will the FAA be mad at the pilots, but if a commercial airline turns its transponder off, jets will be up there going, this is, F-16 Charlie to, are you hostile? Are you okay? And if not, anyways, again, I'm supposed to try to make this shorter, and I'm running about this as long. It's fucking bullshit. It's crap. ground crews in on it, maintenance crews on it, completely redesigning planes, completely redesigning engines, pilots not knowing the weight of their planes, pilots flipping a button to, again, dump shit over, name the city, throw a dart. Bullshit. Bullshit. It's water vapor. Cold air in front. Engines very hot. Heats the cold air with water, moisture in it. As we have moisture in our air, thank God. It heats up and turns into water vapor. What do water vapors look like? Clouds. What are clouds made up of? Water vapor. So, you might as well say, when you see clouds, oh my God, those are chemtrails. Well, they're chem balloons or chem cotton balls in the sky. Same shit. Just in a bigger fucking mess out there. Contrails. Let's say it together. C-O-N, contrails. T-R-A-I-L-S. Contrails. Condensation trails. Water condensation trails. Not chemtrails. They are not chemical trails. Unless you want to go with water's a chemical. Okay, bingo, you can have your chemtrail. They're water vapor. That's a chemical. It's a chemical compound. Nitrogen. Oxygen. Hydrogen. Certain numbers of each in a little group called water. In the air, which has nitrogen and CO2 chemicals. Our sky is a sea of chemicals. It's a liquid of chemicals that we live in, and we don't pay the least bit to it unless the wind's blowing. Or you're in an airplane that has a whole bunch of unknown weight on it, and you're trying to get to land as a continent or an island. Okay, this one's going longer than the first one, so I'll end it here. Contrails. Yes, they are real. Condensation trails are very real. Chemtrails. Fucking bullshit. Better odds of aliens, as in, space aliens, are in charge of 3i Atlas. Yeah, I worked it in. 3i Atlas. I worked it in. Aliens in charge of 3i Atlas. Far better odds of that being true than this being an agent. Unless it's a retarding agent, I'll believe that, because if people buy into this being a chemtrail, then it's obviously a retardant. And, if you believe this crap, then obviously the effect of the chemical has worked on you, and you became retarded. Yeah, a pretty cool picture of a plane, too. That's a B-17. Really nice. I'd love to go flying one. They do. You can. There's a couple of Confederate Air Force and a couple other ones that fly vintage airplanes. It costs a lot of money to do it. 90% of it's fuel, 90% of it's insurance, and then fuel and unloaded. They take you up and do little loops around and stuff. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Cold as hell in those planes because they're up in the sky and it's cold, and they're wearing heavy jackets made of goat skin and whatnot. You see them in the war film. The guys in the back who aren't shooting like crazy all over the place. They have zones. They have zones to shoot into, because if they're shooting all over the place, you don't want to shoot Ted over there in flight number 2 when you're in 5. Well, I got shot down, but not by the Me-109s. Larry did it again. Okay, now this is going even longer than the first one. Maybe I'll put both up and see which ones you like better, if any of you made it this far in either one of them. Calling it again. Holy crap, I'm almost 20 minutes. I do things live with just a couple of little notes. And, sometimes I put it back to the editor to, make it postable to, YouTube and whatnot. And, sometimes I'm getting a little better at, being able to sneak in little pictures here and there, things. And, green screening shit. So, anyhow. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. Chemtrails. Good night, everybody. Good day, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Savos. And fuck Tucker Carlson and his contrails. Chemtrails. Fuck him anyhow. Fuck him on both. Somebody fuck him. I'm not gonna fuck him. I don't go that way. To each their own, hey, Anyways, no, this is like gone massively stupid and silly. So, but it's live. You're getting me. You're getting me being. I'm almost gonna use another word. Yeah. And that's not good. Snafu, if you actually know what snafu stands for. That's my video is now snafu. But anyways. Savos. Wash Bar signing out. This isn't just Wash Bar world, this is our world. But, I won't take it back over here. That's not a jet putting out chem agents. Those are twin 50 cals back there to blow the fuck out of a plane stupid enough to come in behind it like they did before we put them in there. Anyhow, and these are little bumps right in here. Yeah, that's can't let see them. Anyways, damn cool picture. And I got a whole bunch of black and white. This is supposed to cycle. I had a whole bunch of other pictures of World War II bombers and the contrails coming off of them. Pictures from the ground from London during the Blitz, and pictures taken from probably Paris or Germany or somewhere. A bunch of Germans going. Anyhow, they were supposed to loop around behind me, but I couldn't get the looping working. Yeah. Hey, I'm learning as I'm doing it. I'm learning as I'm going. Savos.